Welcome to episode 52 of PuckPod by V Sports. I'm Brian. I'm here with David and Christian. Christian, nice background. New. How was your week though?
Yeah, so I actually followed in Brian's footsteps. I moved to Thunder Bay with him. I'm just in the room next over. No, I'm still in my house here. We've relocated from the basement to gone up 2 floors to the upstairs. I need some curtains because yeah, too much light in the background. But basically the room I'm in used to be like just the storage room, the de facto storage room. It's like, oh, I've got something, I don't know what to do with it. Just throw it in this room. I said, yeah, let's maybe stop doing that. So spent the whole weekend with the help of my parents cleaning this thing out. I had like 3 boxes at the front door for 2 weeks, TV, coffee table, this and that. Had to build all that. And then we got this little space. So yeah, that was basically my week. I worked, I watched the Leafs, did other stuff, but yeah.
Dave, how's your week?
Yeah, I'm gonna be the last one of the three of us to switch up their setups. For me, it's if it ain't broke, don't fix it right now. So I'll be
Well,
here for the foreseeable future.
in my
So I
defense,
don't.
mine was out of necessity.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
And Dave, you got memorabilia up, man. We can't relocate that right now.
Definitely gotta
Like you
add.
got
So
the good stuff there.
I'm looking for some more. We're gonna like that wall behind me. We're gonna put up some more stuff for sure in the future. Other than that, dude, like Christian, a lot of work, or a little bit actually of hockey or Leafs hockey. I watched some other games actually to kind of like pique my interest, but yeah, pretty quiet.
Instead of skipping over a week, I actually did stuff this week.
Thank
Well,
God, it's about time. It's been
thanks.
like what,
I
four
know.
weeks?
Uh, Monday I got cold called in front of the whole class, and I didn't do the case. It was probably the worst moment of my life. And
For people who don't know what you're saying, Brian, like you just like basically got called out for not doing the homework
no,
on the
no,
spot.
it's like sometimes like in law school, like a law school professor will like they'll just say like Christian, like explain to us the facts of the case, like what happened,
They know you by
and
name?
then
Yeah.
huh?
Do they know you by name?
Yes, yes.
It's probably a
So
small
so
class, right?
Yeah, I
yeah,
guess.
so I
You're
got
right.
fucking cold called, and then I didn't know what was going on, and then I was like, oh, like so this is what happened. Like I had a brief, I had like a quick summary, but then he asked me, he was like, Brian, was there a fence in the scenario? And I froze, and I was like, yeah.
Uh,
And he's like, what color was the fence?
oh
And I was
God.
like, what's the relevance? And then he's like, just checking, you know. And then
What kind of paint did he use, huh? Was it Bear
Yeah.
paint,
Was
huh?
it matte? Was that matte
Yeah.
finish on there?
and then Saturday after
Was
my
it wait, hold
shift.
on. Was
Oh
there actually a fence in the story?
yeah, yes there was.
Okay. I thought he
At
just
first, when
I
I
thought he
think I
just
realized,
threw a
yeah, yeah,
screwball in there. He's
just
like,
threw
hey,
it out
well,
there. Yeah,
yeah.
No, no, there's actually a fence in the story. And that
distraction
one I know
evil.
for a fact now, by the way.
At
So
first, Brian,
whenever
when you
once,
told me this story, I think you told me this last week too, and I was like, offense. I thought you were saying like, what was the offense made by the person in the case?
no,
Now I'm
no,
realizing a literal backyard
It was an
fence.
actual like picket fence.
the
It
fence
was
was
the
a
white
the fence
one.
was a drug charge though. The fence was a drug charge.
Oh,
But
okay, okay.
um,
Oh, okay.
going anyway, going into a like after my shift on Saturday, I went to a party. This is like the third party I've been to all
Look at
All
Brian, a
year?
all
party
semester.
animal.
Party
Yeah,
animal.
but I started like I got there at 12, so by the time I got there, it was already like I don't know.
Dead.
It
Yeah.
just not dead, but it was like
For the people who don't know
Winded
Brian,
down.
that's the Brian special. Okay,
yeah,
to
finish
show
my
up at a
shift,
party at
Arrive
12,
late.
say
arrive late,
hi, 10
then
minutes,
leave,
Irish
and
goodbye.
what Irish goodbye. That's exactly the term I was
Yeah.
looking for. That's Brian's favorite.
and then what else did I do? Well, after this, I will be doing schoolwork until the sun goes down, and probably until the sun comes up again. So
So this is your
yeah,
break right now, right? This is
this is
your
my
your
break.
relaxation
Yeah,
time. Wow.
yeah. Well, there's also
Real
another
quick before
guy.
we jump into
Yeah.
the other sport, the sport that we usually talk about. I see Dave and the Bills jersey here. Dave, the Bills play today, or did they already
They
play?
they play a 4. So our
It's going on
whatever,
right
like
now.
within like the next like 20 minutes, I think they
Oh,
start.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And then real quick, for Brian,
F1.
probably. Yeah, yeah. Did you
Oh
watch? Did
my
you
goodness.
catch it?
I did. I watched the whole thing at the party.
Wow.
At the
Wow.
party.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody
Wasn't
else
the
watch it
Brian
with you?
special then?
I don't know. Like Leclerc passed Perez in the last lap, like to get second. I wanted a double podium, like a double 1-2 or whatever. I still got the double podium, but I wanted the 1-2. But whatever, it's done
Um
now.
Beggars
Um,
can't be choosers, Brian. Okay.
should they do Vegas again? I'd say yeah. Just because it's a show, but was it a mess?
It was a
Yeah.
total mess, but that means it can only get better, right? They can only go up
Yeah.
from here. It can only improve.
But
I
you
don't know,
think
Dave,
So
did you catch
that
anything? Did
was
you see
that was
anything
my
about it?
question. My question
Yeah.
was gonna be how was it basically? Because
it was
it's
good.
been so hyped. Like I know like
Yeah.
the city was behind it. Like I was there. I saw that there was a lot of people who were excited for it, but were kind of like a bit iffy on how it was gonna go down. As long as the race, I think, was enjoyable. I don't know how much you could. Okay, so here's the thing that I've been seeing, and I'm in two minds about it. A lot of people have been complaining that for the spectators, they couldn't watch the race on like any of the bridges and stuff. But it's also like, but you're not paying for the race. They do this in Monaco as well, where all like the pedestrian walkways are kind of like blocked off from like
They're
sight of the
literally the
track.
racetrack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I
Yeah.
don't know why
It's a
people
street
were
circuit.
I don't know why people were expecting like to just watch it on like a random footbridge. You know what I mean? Like there was just so many people who were like up in arms against it. They're like, how come like we can't watch it for free? It's like, well, that's the
The whole
this
point.
yeah, like dude, the city put up like $1 billion in infrastructure and that type of stuff. Like some of that was I think spent through the F1. I forget like exact, but I know like $1 billion was spent on that race. So of course try they're gonna try like all their means to like get as much money as they can, like recoup as much money as they can back.
I will say this though, it was a marketing spectacle. Like it was something to behold. Like it
Yeah.
was
The
well put
sphere really
together.
helped,
Like
man, too.
yeah,
That
that
was really cool.
That's
So
that's a
the
sick
race,
turn. I like that
yeah,
turn. It's nice.
yeah, no, it's really cool. The race itself went smoother than the
you
entire
thought
weekend because it started off terribly. I don't know if you saw it, Dave.
Carlos
In the
Sainz
very first racing session, practice, Carlos Sainz drove over a drain cover that popped out of the road, and
destroyed the car.
How does that
they
even
had to red
happen?
flag. I don't know, man. So they had to red flag the race. I mean, the session, and because Vegas was so keen on doing this at night, um, I think it was like at 10 p.m. or maybe even later.
Yeah, if it
They
started at
delayed
one
it.
here.
Yeah, well, yeah, it started on the race started on one, but this would have been
Oh,
on
you're seeing the
Thursday.
practice? The
Yeah, this was like Friday, very early Friday morning, 1 a.m. Because it was so late, when they delayed the session, they couldn't pay for security to stay longer because
Oh my god.
they've been working like 24 hours or whatever. Like they've been
Yeah.
working like an insane amount. So they had to kick out the spectators out of the stands, the seats they paid for, because they didn't have enough security to watch over them.
Oh, that's
So
that's a
this was
big
a
yikes.
huge debacle. It was a huge
Yeah.
debacle, and he ran over that drain cover, and they realized we have 140 of these in the racetrack. So yeah, they had to
Okay.
fix that.
So I like there I personally I don't see a quick fix for okay, so
Well, Vegas
it
wasn't built
seems
to host the races, and neither was any other
No,
street track, which is
no
why we
and
always get
another
these.
thing, yeah, then another thing too with that, they don't want as like if you're starting the race at 10 p.m. there, it's because they don't want as much foot traffic either. Like you're obviously gonna have people trying to watch the race, but I think if you like let's say they
I
set up the race
guess.
at like 12 p.m. their time. Obviously, everybody's gonna be like up and around. I feel like if you schedule that later, you probably don't get as many.
I think it's even more trying to put it in a time slot where enough people can watch it, like more people
Around
can
the
watch
world.
it. Exactly,
Oh,
like
yeah, that's true.
globally,
Globally,
right?
yeah,
Yeah. So, but
fair.
the thing is, a lot of people, the people who got shafted the most by this are people in North America, right? Because 1 a.m. is a tough start time for a race that's on our continent. It's
But
kind
Yeah,
of
it's
crazy.
it's
And
it's
even the
really
racers have actually complained about
it,
this too, like the
but I'll
principals
tell
and
you
it's
stuff.
at
what, it was
that eastern seaboard, like the eastern seaboard area it
Yeah,
starts at 8. Like I guess if you're living on the west coast, it's a 10 p.m. start time, which is later for
it's a lot more
them.
palatable. Yeah.
Yeah. Because another thing that tripped me out so much when I went to Las Vegas, like they don't have, how like if you go watch a football game, if you're watching a football game here, you have like the 8 a.m. game. Like those are like the prime time slots. Thursday, Sunday, Monday. They don't have an 8 p.m. game because their 8 p.m. game is the 5 o'clock. It's technically 5 o'clock, but it would technically be like our afternoon games here. So their afternoon games there are like at 1, which is like the normal. So it's like there's always like a little like there's always going to be like a
There's a cultural
disconnect.
difference with sports there,
There
right?
is there
They're
is
much
definitely.
more of an afternoon and morning sporting
Yeah, because
like
that's how they've always been,
yeah.
right? Because
Where a
they
prime time for us is 7. Prime time there. What's the
it's
like the
5,
prime time slot for a soccer game? You're saying would be 5 their time?
probably about 5 or 6,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So that's a difference. That's a big difference then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. The sport we actually talk about now.
That's
Yeah.
that's a lot of whatever we
F1
talked
talk,
about.
just random talk. Yeah, it's
But
okay.
we'll go into the next topic. Hopefully this doesn't get outdated really fast like it did last week. But Jay Woodcroft gets sacked. He is no longer the coach of the Oilers, and the guy who replaced him is an old friend of Connor McDavid, in the sense that he was his coach back in Erie, I believe.
Yeah. Back in Erie, and the guy who hired him was Connor McDavid's agent, Jeff Jackson, the new coach coming in. I think it's Chris Knoblauch. I can't remember if it's Chris or Kevin. Now look at this. This is
Oh,
our Kevin Conroy moment here.
I'm
Eh? It's
pretty
always
sure it
something
is
Kevin. Eh?
Chris.
I think it is Chris Knoblauch.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you guys, like, what do you, what do you guys think about the firing to begin with? Like, was it Woodcroft's fault? The whole shambolic start that they had.
I think we addressed this last episode too, right? And I was saying no, it's not his fault. Ken Holland, how was he going to call him into his office and say, "Listen, Jay, I'm firing you because you have terrible goaltending, and we have no salary cap space to make a move." And yeah, that's exactly what happened. And yeah, that is hilarious. They didn't make space by waiving Jack Campbell, but no, like I don't think Woodcroft was the problem. And while they have rattled off a couple wins now with the Knobloch, I think in most cases a coaching change is a temporary fix. But this is about the long run, at least the long run in terms of the whole season. So we'll see if this change has lasting effects past this month.
Well, the last person to do that was Jay Woodcroft, right? As soon as
That's a
they
great point.
fired, who was the coach that was it Hitch
Tippett.
or was it it's Dave Tippett, right?
Yeah, they've been through so many.
Dude, as soon as they fired Tippett, they brought because McDavid and Draisaitl were also going through a slump during that time. I mean, the whole team was, if I'm not mistaken, but they were definitely the highlights, especially because they are the 2 highest paid players on that team. As soon as they fired him, brought in Jay with his power butt stance that he brought to the table. Dude, I swear they rattled off like 15 wins in like 20 games, just something ridiculous. It was ridiculous thing, but you could always kind of book. I always tend to like book a good winning record for at least like 15 games for a team that just fired their head coach, especially a team that clearly has talent. Like if San Jose were to fire David Quinn right now, I wouldn't book them down for like 15 and 20. But obviously
15 on the season, maybe.
yeah, maybe like 15 in the next 45.
Yeah.
But obviously, like, you've got 2 of the most talented hockey players in the world, and their first game, they both put up like 3 to 4 points each, right? Like ridiculous. And another thing, like, that definitely didn't help Jay Woodcroft's. I think we definitely mentioned this on the last. I think I made this exact point on the last episode. Like, what's Jay Woodcroft supposed to do? Like, go in the net and save pucks? Like,
Honestly,
both,
Dave, it might have been worth a try.
dude, both of his goalies were playing at an 860 level. And the guy that got sent down had like marginally better stats than the guy that they kept up. Dude, they sent Campbell down. They brought Pickard up, and Pickard hasn't even played a game so far. I know that they lost yesterday to Tampa, but why don't you just throw Pickard in net for, like, realistically, what else do you have to lose? Like, I know you're trying to win games, but if you're giving up, like, you could score, like they lost yesterday 6-4. Yeah, sure. Maybe their offense is starting to come back to some sort of like form that it was last year. But dude, you're still allowing like 6 to 7 a game. Like maybe
Okay.
you give the backup a shot. I don't know. Like
So
I think the idea was to send Campbell down so that the message to Skinner is you are the guy. There is no one else to worry about. You are the starter.
he's not. He's
He
not.
hasn't been good. He hasn't been
And
good.
it's I mean, listen, his job security is definitely a bit safer just because I think Campbell has like if I'm not
4 goals
mistaken, it's
allowed
like
in 4 games in the A. Like it's
they also have no
his
he hasn't
cap
been good.
to do anything to get anybody else.
I believe
They
it's like
they made a million
8-13.
space with the Campbell thing. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. But I think that's where they were coming from was listen, ring in Pickard as the backup. You are the guy to try and instill some confidence in him. Wish-washy results so far. But that was their logic, I think. I don't know what other kind of logic they were working with.
So since 14-15, I have a question for you guys. How many coaches have the Oilers been through? Throw a number up there.
When did
2014-15.
what year was Nuge drafted? Was it 2012, 2013, 2013?
20 Nuge
I
was
think
2011?
2012.
Yeah, no, Nuge was 2011.
2011?
2012 was not Yakupov, yeah.
So I
Okay.
know for a fact that this is the 10th head coach that Ryan Nugent Hopkins has played under.
Yes.
Let's do it this way then. Let's
in
do it this way.
Edmonton.
How many can me and Dave name in a reasonable amount of time? We're not gonna spend forever on this.
Give us a minute. We could do 6 for sure.
Sure.
Do you want to
3.
work backwards or which way, Dave?
Easily. So we
Okay.
start with Knoblauch, then it's Woodcroft,
Yeah.
then it's Tippett, then it's who came first? Was it McClellan or Hitchcock?
You got both right there.
Yeah, we'll take both of them. Before
2 more.
McClellan,
Oh,
well,
I know
wasn't
the
there
name.
Craig McTavish?
Craig
Yeah,
McTavish
it wasn't. This isn't the right order.
He was the
but
GM.
he was earlier.
He was the GM.
Craig
no?
McTavish was earlier, but
Okay,
he was
he
not.
was- he's
so
in
Craig
there, but he
McTavish is
wasn't-
there.
I'm forgetting. Todd. Was it Todd Nelson? Todd Nelson.
Yep.
That's
Was
the one.
Ralph Kruger
Yeah.
there? No, that's Buffalo.
Ralph Kruger's Buffalo.
He's on the
Dallas,
list,
wasn't Dallas Aikens there?
That's the one.
For a hot second.
You got it. You guys got it. That's all 7.
Was that 7
Yes,
of
you
them?
guys got it.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. That means there's 3
Let's
more
go.
as well. That
Yeah.
that Nuge played on.
Wow, man.
Like
I'll
most
give you
players,
those ones.
how many coaches like do most like on average, how many coaches do you think a player would go through?
That's
like
a good
6
question.
in a career? 5 in a career?
Assuming like let's assume like I don't know like 500 game career.
Yeah.
I'd say like the average is like maybe
2 or 3.
well okay you know the other
Average
thing
would
is
be-
Depending
every
on the
time you move
teams, right?
exactly you move it if you move teams then you're automatically with a new coach. So if you're a player who plays 500 games with the same team, I feel like you probably go through on average like 2.
Yeah.
But some teams get 1, right? I don't know. Some get 3, but
Dude, I would even say like in a 1,000 game career, like somebody like Corey Perry, who's played 1,200, 1,300 games,
Yeah.
he's been on 6 teams or 5
probably
teams.
hasn't reached 10 yet.
Probably not.
I would put maybe his over under at like his line set at like 6.5 or 7. I'd probably take under 7. Like
Yeah.
that's
I know,
ridiculous.
That was pretty fun, but um, so it's just weird to me that when you switch a coach, you switch systems. Obviously, you get this is the one team in the league that can get away without having like a structured system because they're guaranteed scoring in a way that
The
most
system's
teams
built
aren't.
around the core, right? Like it's
Yeah,
yeah.
but now they have to switch systems again, and I don't know if this is the right move in that sense, but I feel bad for Woodcroft. I don't think that should have been fired, and I think we're on the same page about that.
He'll get a job real quick, right? Like he's getting
Hopefully.
scooped up. He may be an interim coach in the middle of this season, or else he'll get a job in the summer. 100%.
Do you think he goes right back to being a head coach, or do you think he rebuilds as like an assistant somewhere first?
I think he'll be a head coach. He
I'll agree
had
with
like
that,
he had a stellar regular season record. He won 3 playoff series in 2 years with the Oilers.
Yeah.
Those are good numbers. He did
I'm
that. Everyone's like questioning why he's fired.
Dude, if I'm a team like San Jose, even Columbus right now, who's been stinking it, and
Columbus
okay,
isn't a bad
granted
option.
they did just bring they brought up their AHL coach because of
Their
this
situation.
Babcock in the
Yeah.
thing over the offseason, but some of those like bottom feeder teams, dude, like real
You gotta be a bottom feeder like on the rise. Like you have
Yeah,
to
yeah,
you have to
You
want to
gotta have some
compete. Maybe
talent.
not next season, but you want to be like upper trajectory. Yeah.
Who's in charge? Oh, I was gonna say who's in charge of the Hawks? It's is it Kyle Davidson?
Uh,
No,
Luke Richardson. Luke
Luke
Richardson.
Richardson. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
There'll probably be
Well,
an
he's supposed to be
opening.
decent.
Yeah, there should be an opening somewhere though.
Yeah.
Let's jump up to the next topic. The global series. I didn't catch much of it,
Yeah,
to be
neither did
honest.
we. Neither did either of us.
I
Well,
know,
we caught
but
the games that we needed to see.
Yeah.
yes,
I
but
got
Did you?
lucky where my 2 off days are Fridays and Sundays. I cannot work those days, so it was good for me. I was able to watch the Leafs at
I
least.
I did see a bit of the Detroit Ottawa game, the one where Stutz let
Did you
baseball batters out.
illegally stream that? How did you get that?
I did illegally stream it.
Okay,
I did.
How dare you, Brian? How dare you?
My bad.
you
I probably
pirate.
shouldn't have said that, but it's
How are we
okay.
gonna get that? Come on, how are we gonna get
Well, no, it's fine
the
because
streaming
then
rights, Brian? What the hell, man?
Brian, the
That's
NHL clearly wants you to do that.
I
They
guess so.
black out the games in our region. So what else are we gonna do? I want to watch
But
hockey.
but I just wanted to ask you guys, what do you guys think about the NHL going global? Because I was a little bit surprised to see so
Well,
many international fans in Sweden like this.
they clearly had a good time there. Like by all accounts,
Yeah,
it seemed
100%.
like a great time. It would have been great, like even better if we were able to like watch all the like get to watch all the games and see
Festivities?
all the fanfare and stuff. Like I had my Friday off. No, I had my Thursday off, I think. I had whatever time the Sens played Detroit that first day. I think it
Thursday.
was the Thursday, right?
Thursday.
Dude, I was off. I really wanted to watch that game. And I was convinced, you hear the term global series, you would think they would be like nationally televised games. They'd be on TV.
It should be like an exhibition. Like, hey guys, this is what hockey looks like.
Yeah, no, I went to my guide and it was like blackout in effect. So I was like,
Yeah.
what's going on here? There's clearly a disconnect somewhere. It looked like a great time. Don't get me wrong. But shit, does the NHL hate? Do they hate their fans or what? They hate their fans in North America, especially in Canada. It feels like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is just a blackout conversation, right? Because I think even with the Leaf game, the TSN, the Red Wings game is a regional broadcast, so they treated it as such, which is that you get blacked out unless you're in the Leafs
The
region, even though the game's in Sweden, right? So,
I don't get how that
and
makes.
same thing for Sens.
But on a brighter note, let's talk about
It doesn't make
the
sense, Dave.
marketing.
It doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't. Whatever. It's fine. I guess.
Yeah, I know it's opening
Sure.
Pandora's box, and I'd rather talk about like the marketing behind the situation and the marketing behind the global series. I think they did a pretty good job across the board. It's pretty good to see them attempt to bring in new fans from other countries. I mean, Sweden's already a hockey country, but just to get the name out there a little bit more is always a good thing.
Honestly, the thing I enjoyed the most was actually seeing old faces, like at least for me and Dave, seeing Matt Sundin a
Dude,
ton. I loved that. That was
dude,
awesome.
Today's game when
Yeah,
he stepped out onto the ice and I believe he had his kids with him, right?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, dude, that warmed my heart so
I don't know
much.
if you saw it, Dave, when we played the Red Wings, they had a pre-game interview with him on TSN. It was like a 10-minute interview. And I don't know why, but it was like, it felt like Matt Sundin was just my uncle reading me a bedtime story. Like you just get the warm, fuzzy feelings, the
Yeah.
nostalgia feelings. I'm like,
W-
that's Matt
watching
Sundin. That's the
him-
guy that I was
yeah.
watching as a 6-year-old man.
Dude, watching him
I
read
love
out
Matt.
watching him read out the lineups, I think it was
Yes.
before the
Yes.
Detroit game as well. Like, dude,
That was
I
great.
know I've always heard that he's been like he's a quiet guy. I've heard like
Yeah.
he's very like kept to himself. I heard as soon as like he was done, like as soon as his career was done, he just like went back to Sweden, kind of like
But that's a Swedish thing, apparently. Like that seems like most Swedish NHLers. That's how they
Mhm.
are, right?
Yeah, they are very to themselves. Like the only one that's kind of not like that kind of breaks that mold is really like off the top of my head, it's like Henrik Lundqvist because he's
Yep.
on
Yes.
TV, right? Like he's the
And
only
he
one
was
that does
also
stuff
in
like
New
that.
York. Like he loved the limelight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Or even
Yeah,
if
it
he
was a
didn't,
perfect
like
fit.
he kind of like grew to love it. You know what I mean?
That's a good way to put
Um,
it.
but yeah, no, everything about the series, like all those games, like were
Yeah.
done really like fantastic. Even touching on having Boreas Salming's son. I
Andrew
believe
Solomon, yeah.
yeah, I believe they also I don't know if they made like a donation or something to like the charity, I think, or
They have
something like that.
like a foundation for raising funds for cure for ALS, right?
For
Like
the
it's
ALS, for ALS,
yeah,
yeah.
it's the
So I
Solomon Foundation, I think it was called.
like awesome. Like I love that type of stuff. All the sentimentality, especially going to a country like Sweden, was there. Like it was fantastic. And the games were pretty good too. Like from what I've
Yeah.
seen, you start on a really high note with that Sens Red Wings game. Like that was like, you know, you have the was it the Sens go up like 4-0 or 4-1. Wings come storming right back, and then they ended up losing in OT, like heartbreaking. The OT goal was
James
great.
Reimer
Yeah,
ducking
there
out
was
of the way.
it just kind of felt like there was like good storylines throughout the weekend, and that's as much as the NHL could ask for
as a whole.
for 4 games like that. Yeah, especially.
Yeah, they got lucky where this doesn't always happen, especially I feel like with outdoor games. Sometimes the outdoor games are a slog. And they're like a 2-1 finish with just like really nondescript goals. It's like, oh, I went off of a defender skating in. Wow, that's really fun. But I think these 4 games kind of marketed hockey by itself, right? Like there could have been no exterior marketing at all. Just hey, this is 4 NHL games. Watch them, and they were a good enough product where it's just like, wow, I would want to watch more of that because we got good games. Like you said, we did get good games.
How did you guys feel about coffee and hockey? As in you waking up in the morning, enjoying a nice coffee in the middle of breakfast, and watching your team play.
I had
Why,
prepped to wake up. Yeah, well, Dave
dude?
was
I
awake,
had to
right? Dave
work.
was ready to go.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
this
I
dude
was
didn't have
at work
coffee.
watching.
It was
Yeah,
pizza and hockey for Dave,
yeah,
right?
lots of
But
dough and hockey. Yeah, that's what
yeah,
it was.
but Brian, I had prepped like to wake up at like 7 a.m. I was gonna get out the waffle iron, throw on some waffles, get some eggs and bacon going.
Sounds great.
And then I remembered, like, it did sound great in my head, right? But I remembered, like, 2 days ago, I'm like, oh my God, I got to watch Vegas, too. I have to watch Vegas, which is at 1 a.m. And the turnaround was not happening for me. I set my alarm for 7, which quickly turned into 7:15, 7:30, 7:45. I'm waking up at puck drop. And no fun breakfast, just hockey. But
Just hockey.
it's still good.
Do you have a coffee
Still
with
good.
it, or
I'm not a
no?
coffee
You're not a
person
coffee guy. Yeah,
because if I
I
start
said.
drinking coffee, I wouldn't stop.
Yeah, you're right.
That's
You're
so
right.
I just don't start.
I remember that. I remember we had this conversation before.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
Dave, I know that you're used to waking up early to watch soccer, so
yeah, that's another thing too. Like I am kind of used to it. I I'll always maintain like watching hockey is the best, I think, for me personally. Like at night, it's a great way to end my. I like it's something that I look forward to.
at the end of
And
the
that's
day.
why that's why I like it at night. But it's always a good change of pace when like the Leafs have done it recently, where they'll have like 2 p.m. matinee like for their next gen games, which I think are always a like the most entertaining. Like if there's a next gen Maple Leaf game, hit the over 100%.
Seven,
Yeah,
3.
dude, whatever the goal line is, if it's like 7.5, hit the over because it's definitely going
Slam it.
over. And like they're just entertaining games. They're at good times. Like I'm not trying to stay up at like 10 p.m. to like watch like a West Coast game. I think it's just a nice change of pace. That's why I like the game on Friday and then today as well, like 8 a.m. Great time. We're talking
Okay,
about it now. You know what I mean?
I think
okay.
you know the Dave where I enjoy this as a one-off, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I could get used to Sunday 8 a.m. games if that was a regular occurrence,
If
but
you
as a
were
one-off,
a fan of if you were a fan of like an EPL team, Christian, you would get into it. You would be like,
fair enough. That's a good
I do
point.
this already. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. With F1, like I've done it too, but their schedule kind of goes all over the place. So it's not always Sunday 8 a.m. But yeah, no, I did think it was a nice one-off. We have another matinee game next week too as well, Dave. I think it's
Yeah,
2
it's
p.m.
back in home.
Friday,
Is that a
Chicago.
next gen game?
I wouldn't be surprised if they make it one. If it's in Toronto, that probably makes sense. It's because it's Black Friday, Thanksgiving weekend in the US, right?
Mm,
So that's why they're doing it.
I think it's not
But I
here
wouldn't be
though.
surprised.
I think it's there because
Oh, you're right,
Chicago
because they
already came
came.
here.
So
Yeah.
it's in Chicago. So probably not.
So okay.
Okay. I had a question that I plan to ask you guys a little bit later, but it's Sweden related, so throw it up now. Backstrom, Sedins, Lidstrom, Forsberg, Lundqvist. All great Swedish players. Some of them you can even argue were the face of Sweden in NHL hockey. Who's the face of Swedish hockey right now?
So I've heard this question. This
Ooh.
is something that I've heard thrown around all week. And I thought the answer was like obvious, like just totally obvious. Well, because I think that's so obvious, I want to hear what you guys have to say.
Okay, well, there's a lot of ways that you could like interpret this question because Sweden's got an. I think that they've got one of the most underrated. Like everybody wants to talk about the Canadian team, like their lineup grows. The emergence of the U.S. program has been probably the most talked about international story for the past few years, and also some of like the smaller nations getting more recognition. So like Germany, Czechia, those countries and their programs. But it always seems that Sweden kind of goes under the radar. But when you have like a three-headed monster leading like your lines of your team of Elias Pettersson, William Nylander, and Rasmus Dahlin, like
It's a pretty
that
good point.
those are three guys that you would want to bank your success on, right? I think those three for me are my picks for the faith. I can't think of anybody else that is at their level. I don't know if I'm missing somebody right now. I'm gonna say for the sake of our, I don't know who you're gonna take, Christian. I feel like all three of those players are gonna be in our picks, more or less. I could be wrong. I'm gonna say William Nylander just because he's been absolutely electric, and the guy's so like he's just stone cold, like on the ice in interviews. The guy's
That's my
like
answer too.
he's cool. He's just a
You know
cool
what?
dude.
So I'm actually the one that's not Nylander, but so to give Nylander his due, which we're gonna do more of, but after I sent you guys the link of like him on a talk show, just like on a Swedish day talk show with a live crowd, small audience, whatever, and you can just tell that everyone goes crazy for William Nylander in Sweden, and in that respect, he
He
is
loves it
100%.
too.
Oh,
He
dude,
does.
he loved it so much. In that respect, he's absolutely the most marketable and the most beloved. And in that sense, yes, you guys, I think, are right. He is the face. And maybe I did go a little too narrow focus, just from a hockey on the ice perspective. To me, it's Elias Pettersson, like by far. Like he's your typical
He's
pro.
the better
He's your
player.
prototypical.
Yeah.
He's the better player. He's a center. He does it all. He's got the crazy slap shot. He plays on a team with Swedish history as well. To me, it's him, but I do like he's not the same marketability as Willie Nylander.
Not even
So
close.
you know what? I said it was obvious. It's not obvious. Like I think Willie 100% has a great argument, especially when you take into off ice factors. 100%.
And I just wanted to shout out another Swedish defenseman, Victor Hedman, who's been doing it for how many years now?
Yeah.
It's been a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
I guess from like a success perspective, he's got to be like the number one like on ice Swedish guy right now, like with all the
He's the
accolades,
grizzled
right?
vet though. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he was for the longest time, like it was like the number one, like the stable D, but now he's coming back. Whenever hopefully we get international hockey again, he's coming back as like the grizzled vet, like the guy who's
Yeah.
been here before. And he's kind of he's gonna have his job whenever we get to see international hockey is gonna be like, I've been here before. All these kids haven't played, like all the guys we've mentioned haven't worn the
Olympic
Swedish,
level jerseys.
yeah, at like what's the like, it's not like at the junior level, like that level above.
World Championship, like, but
I know Willie played in the World
yeah,
Championship,
he's
but
two-time tournament MVP.
yeah, yeah.
He likes it,
Um,
man.
but like,
A couple of
dude,
other
the Olympics are like a different level. You know what I mean? Like
100%. It's the pinnacle.
it is the
It's the
pinnacle.
closest we have to World Cup. Yeah.
a couple of other Swedish players I just wanted to shout out just because while we're on the topic. Sweden, Erik Karlsson. I mean,
No,
He's not too
pretty
you
good.
bad.
could argue,
He's
you
all
could
right.
argue he was the
He's got
biggest.
some marketability too, right?
Yes. And another one I just want to throw out there, just because of the fact that he has the best Stanley Cup celebration, is William Karlsson.
Wild Bill.
Wild Bill. Yeah, that's not a bad one. We got like 3 minutes left here. We talked about this in the chat, but just to put it out there, where did the NHL? Where should they go next? Just what we were talking about. I think we all agreed. And then I don't know if
Germany.
you guys saw it today. They were mentioning something else. Yeah, I think we were talking about Germany, right? I think that makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense.
They're
That's
Send
what
the
I
gonna have to
wanted to
go
Sens
there.
say.
again. Yeah, Stutzel. Send the Red Wings again. Cider.
Yeah.
Send
Send
Oilers.
Oilers.
And I was saying the Sabres because they got Paterka. Those are the four best German players. Like, I don't know if I could even name another one, to be honest. Maybe we
Yeah.
send the Ducks, because they have the legend Corbinian Holzer in their alumni, right? So okay, we can do that.
They're gonna have to rotate because it's really just like 4 to 5. How many nations would it
Yeah.
be? 4 nations, maybe. I think that you go overseas. So it's Sweden, Finland, Czechia,
Czech,
and Germany.
Russia can't.
If you,
because I was gonna say
dude,
you can't even do
you
Russia.
rotate those 4. You got like
Yeah,
you probably do that like every, and then it also kind of builds up hype every 4 years. It's like, okay, they're not like they're coming this year, and it's like we're not going to see NHL games for another 4 years here. So it
yeah,
kind of drives up interest every 4 years, kind of like how I want to say like the World Cup does, not at that level, but every 4 years people gather because if you hosted the World Cup, let's say every year, it
yeah.
kind of loses its
The special
luster.
feeling.
It definitely does. So if you tell the Swedish fans, okay, we're coming in 2023, but we're not coming back till 2027, you're gonna get a lot more people coming because it's like, wow, I gotta get in on this opportunity, because it's not like I could just be like, oh, next year when I'm I don't know what I'll be doing, but I'll find tickets next year, basically, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's either now or you gotta wait
a
half a
long time
decade,
from now.
basically. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And then just to the other point of what's been talked about
Mexico
today.
City.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Matthews was asked about it, and he said he'd love to play a game there. And there was a report, I think it was from Gordon Miller, saying that the Dallas Stars have expressed interest in being involved in that, if that were the case. That'd be
Good.
really cool too. That'd be really, really cool.
Send the Leafs, send Arizona,
Send me.
the Stars. Yeah, send us.
me. Yeah.
Send those teams. Even like the Panthers, or the Lightning with a big like Latino, like the places with
Yeah.
like big Latino
Just
populations.
geographically makes sense.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's what the NFL did. They sent Arizona and another West Coast
Maybe the
team.
Titans.
Something like that. Maybe it was the
Yeah.
Titans, actually. I know that they sent like teams with and
Just
in
thinking
those
teams on the border.
dude, yeah. Other than that, dude, like Mexico City's really is a great choice. I can't think of anything. Maybe honestly, underrated. Send them to the UK. I know the UK has a growing
Yeah.
interest in ice hockey. You play a couple of games in like London and Manchester and stuff. Maybe you start growing the game there as well. So maybe that's
It
my
would be
pick.
excellent to see to bring a little bit of that UK soccer culture to hockey. It'd be amazing for that. But for now, instead of sending the teams to England, I'll be sending us on a quick break. We are back from our break. Okay. We just finished talking about Sweden. A lot of Sweden. I can give you 1/3 of Sweden extra on top of this because I want to talk about Vancouver and how, well, they have 3 players that all lead the league in points. Quinton Hughes, Elias Pettersson, JT Miller, all tied for first at 28 points.
That's ridiculous.
Pretty big deal.
That's ridiculous, dude. They have a combined, what is that, 70 points, I think, from 3 guys within the first month of games. Like, that's
It is
wild.
84
84 points. Holy moly.
from 3 guys.
Did we expect this? I feel like this has always kind of been on the cards. Like, we've known for a long time, like the Canucks are a talented team. I think Christian has always said it the best. We've always liked the individuals on the team, and those are 3 individuals that instantly they instantly slot into all 32 teams, like on their top lines.
Miller, I think he's gotten his slander. I think everyone's giving him his slander, but you could also give him his
Which
praise for turning it around
which
and being
fair
committed.
enough, dude.
Yeah.
He wasn't as advertised for a period there in Vancouver. And listen, the one casualty that they had to, get rid of for a big turnaround to start happening was their former captain in Bo Horvat. He's not gotten off to a great start to the season.
Well, neither has his team, right?
Yeah, that's another thing too. It doesn't help when
Yeah.
you're the only one, like your team cannot score goals. Like you're the only
Yeah.
one there to
Islanders'
get all
offense
the
is non-existent.
yeah,
It doesn't exist.
they're a net negative for the most part. Even if you're like you got a couple
Yeah.
positives on there, they're as a whole they're a net negative.
I
It's
think they've
unfortunate.
honestly, what it talks about though is like the Miller and Horvat stuff that was talked about like in earlier seasons, that they kind of were at odds with each other, that
Split
they
the
were
locker
kind
room.
of separating the locker room. Yeah. Yeah, there's a bit of factioning going on in the locker room, and they had to make a choice. Maybe it didn't even matter if they chose Miller over Horvat, but a choice had to be made. And I think Miller only got the tiebreaker because I think his contract was coming up before Horvat's. I think that's
Yeah.
basically what the tiebreaker was. So he was kind of just a victim of circumstance.
I think Miller was already signed. Like they already had the deal in place. It was Horvat.
They signed it that summer. I think it was last summer.
It was last summer, but it kicked in this year. It was Horvat.
So maybe they did. Maybe they were up at the same time.
Maybe. I don't remember the exact circumstances, but I guess everything worked out for the Canucks. They seem to have found the absolute right person for behind the bench.
For the job.
They found Mr. Tough as Nails, Rick Tocchet. Like from what I've seen and from whatever, I don't know what you guys have seen, but the guy runs his ship like as tight as
he's got authority, and they respect him for it, right? Like Bruce Boudreau, we talked about this. It was the buddy thing. It was when Bruce yells at you, you don't really take it seriously because 5 minutes later he'll be laughing with you. Mm-hmm. There's no laughing with Tocchet, right? You got to earn that big time with him. I think Tocchet even deserves praise from. Maybe we should have seen this coming, considering he was the only Coyotes coach, I think, to bring them to the playoffs since like Shane Doan was with them in that Western Conference one. Yeah, exactly. He brought that team with Taylor Hall and Phil Kessel to the playoffs. That would have been the COVID year when they got in through that crazy system, but still counts. They got to the first round. Yeah, they got in there. So yeah, kudos to him. Quinn Hughes has taken it to another level too. Like, honestly, Brian, we could even just call it the quartet. You throw Demko in there, he's got to be leading most of the goalie stats, wins, save percentage, goals against average. He's got to be up there in every single category.
His high danger save percentage when the Leafs, when they were showing those stats, dude, like legitimately video game numbers. Like this guy was, they put out a highlight pack for that game, and I could count maybe 5 saves that would be on the average NHL goalie's like career highlight reel, and they put 5 saves from this past like month on there. The guy was making like some ridiculous saves. Do we think that this is sustainable though? That is always the question. Like, how legit are the Canucks is my question. Not to say that the Canucks I think the Canucks are bad. I don't know if they are this good though. This kind of feels like it's the exact opposite of what they were going through last year.
So Dave, my formula for a cup winning team is what I would like is a Vezina winning goalie, a Norris winning defenseman, and 2 Class A centers.
Well, Brian,
and a partridge and a pear tree. Yeah.
Like you're not asking for much here, Brian. Just give me the best players at every position. That's all you need to win a cup.
But if you look at the Canucks right now, Demko should be up for the Vezina. Mm-hmm. Quinton Hughes should be up for the Norris, and Elias Pearson and Miller are both quality ace centers.
All 4 of those guys, you could right now. Let's say you stop the season right now, you could make an argument for all 4 of them to win the Hart Trophy, right? The most valuable player for their team. Like they have
Yes.
4 MVP candidates on their team right now. Again, the season doesn't end
We're a month
in November. The season ends in April. I want to see how the Canucks look after game 60. You know what I mean? How do they hold
Fair.
up after 3 months of running under Rick Tocchet? Now, that's not to say that they're going to fall off the wagon. I just want to see how they look with some more time. Like I don't know what it is right now, but I'm in. I've got like 70% of my body in on the Canucks. Just prove to me that this isn't a mirage, basically.
Simple question: playoff team or not a playoff team?
Yes.
I'm going yes.
I think by virtue of their division, they have 4 teams that are god awful in that division, right? Like by
process of elimination,
Flames and
right?
Sharks, yeah. Flames and Sharks are
Flames
awful.
and Sharks.
Kraken are
I-
very meh. Ducks
I-
are like
Ducks are in the middle.
heart attack kids. They're cardiac kids. They're not
Yeah.
going to make it.
It's
Oilers
really
depends on the
really
day.
yeah, it's really just, are the Oilers going to rebound? That's literally the only question
So they're
for.
no, even if they rebound though, like they should still get a wild card spot, right? Like it's to me they're a playoff team. And we talked about this in our chat last week too. I said I think they get second or third flip flop with LA. Maybe that's not like a crazy prediction considering I think that's the standings right now in their division, but I do think that those are the best 3 teams right now. How would they fare in a series against LA? I think we kind of said that it's LA's to lose, right? That they should
I
be
think
winning that series.
Brian had the opposite. I
I'm
said
starting to-
Yeah.
yeah. Brian had the
think
opposite.
now. Like
LA doesn't have a
It's
goalie.
it's
That's the
really
one
just
thing. They don't have a
goaltending.
goalie, man. Yeah.
You're
And if LA picks up a goalie at the deadline, I will take LA 10 times out of 10. But I do think, yeah, like
You-
it's a toss up right now.
if you don't have a goalie and then you have Elias Pettersson and Brock Besser on the other side of the ice, like
Yeah.
there's a good chance they score.
It's kind
10
of that was the McDavid
And that's-
like that was the Oilers
that was
formula too, right? Get
exactly the
hog
same,
goaltending
yeah.
against the Kings, have the best
Yeah.
players. Game
Well,
breakers.
I mean, listen, I would take Thatcher Demko over Jack Campbell, Stuart Skinner, and whoever the hell they could have put. They could have put Millhouse from The Simpsons tied up with all, or like Goldberg, the goalie from the Mighty Ducks in there. I'd still take, like, you take Thatcher Demko obviously over whatever the hell the Oilers were throwing out there.
I think
but
that's the real deal.
No, they definitely are.
Like, definitely.
I don't know if
I don't know if they can win the cup.
I'm
Listen,
hesitant.
the PDO is crazy right now. Like that, they're going to regress to an extent.
Yes.
I think they're like a 98 to 102 point team.
Which is
That's
what
what I
they
think.
should have been. They should have been this
Yeah,
for
that's how
the past like 5 years. Like, right?
Yeah.
They should really have never missed the playoffs any of the past couple of years, that with the types of talents that they had on the team. It helps that they also brought in Philip Roenick as well to level
So
out
good, man.
Quinn Hughes. Dude.
Did you guys see his game tying goal? I can't remember who it was against. Yeah, I can't remember, but it was a clapper and it clocked
It's like
out
104 or something like
it was
that.
like
It wasn't ridiculous.
107. Like it was like
Holy
a couple mile per hours off of the record.
That's crazy.
Like,
See,
in a
and
game.
I don't expect. I don't know why.
He's underrated as hell.
I don't see Philip Roenick as being the guy to like have a 105
He
mile.
played on the crappy Red Wings, right? Like he didn't play on
Yeah,
the
that's
good
true.
Red Wings.
Those are
They haven't
dead
made the
wings,
playoffs
yeah.
since he was there, the Dead Wings era.
Yeah.
And so, we didn't really know. He should probably, man, I don't know if he ends up getting an all-star spot, but I think there's an argument to be made for it right now.
Dude, if he hit 100 and was 107, you said, he's getting the hardest shot, like automatically.
That's why
like, they're bringing him to the All-Star game 100%.
They should, man.
Yeah.
Give me Radko Gudas, give me him. I don't care if they're all-stars or not. Just give me that.
Another thing that I just wanted to point out in regards to like the Canucks is that we mentioned the big 4, but they actually have secondary scoring that's not too shabby either. We mentioned Aronik on the defensive end, but Kuzmenko, Besser, they're all around just a pretty looking team right now, and hopefully they can sustain it. Canucks fans deserve a win
for sure.
somewhere.
Yeah,
it's been a long couple
100%.
years for them. So okay, You guys want to jump ship?
Let's jump to your team, Brian. Let's talk
Washington.
about your guys.
8-1-1. Nicholas Backstrom walks from the team, and
Damn.
Always knew he was the problem, eh, Brian?
God,
to
God
be fair,
damn,
my
Brian.
take last season was that he should have been done, but no, the team's hot. I think that the system's starting to gel. I'm not too sure what happened or what's going on, but I can say that our third line is electric. Lapierre is so good. Christian, you've been, calling me out for a while about,
Like, where is
Lapierre.
that guy?
He is on the third line and he is killing it. He had 3 points last night.
Good for him.
Whose spot has he taken? Who's left the lineup?
Backstrom.
Phillips? Oh yeah, what am I saying? Holy. Wow, that's a simple throw in.
Yeah, it worked
Kudos
out.
to him.
Yeah.
It's weird because he plays with Milano
Matthew
and
Phillips?
Protish. No,
Oh.
no, no.
Where's Matthew
Phillips.
Phillips? Is he on the first line
Alexi
or second line?
Protash.
Phillips is probably going to be scratched and probably not going to be in an
Ooh,
NHL for much
yikes.
longer.
Yikes.
I think there's some voodoo with our third
He's
line.
you know what he is? He's their Dennis Malgin. That's what it was. That's
Oh,
unfortunate, man.
damn. That
But
sucks. Poor guy.
Um, there's some magic with our third line. I'm always telling you guys, oh, we might have the best third line in the league, whether it be Strome on it, whether it
you
be,
say that, and then every time there's different guys on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
but like, man,
You might be
there's
right
something
though.
there.
Like every
Maybe,
time there's always like there's if they're not the best, they're always top tier. Like they're top 10 for sure in the league. In terms of like other third lines. Who is it right now?
it's Milano, Lapierre, and Protesh.
That's a ragtag third line. Like that's on paper. That's Protash is probably a fourth liner. Lapierre, we don't even know if he's an NHLer, and Milano's a third liner.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
at the same time, I could say that even about like the Leafs third liner right now. Like it's Yarncroke the third liner, Robertson the guy who hasn't stuck in the league, and Domi who doesn't have a goal yet but has looked better. Right? Like you kind of just have to catch the lightning in the bottle with the third line. Yeah, it's the fact that you guys line up is interchangeable. Like I think that's a good thing that you can change the mix on any line, and at least lower in the lineup, you have enough depth where it's usually better talent wise than the other team's third line, and that's an advantage there. You guys are second in goals against right now, so you guys are defending really damn well.
but look at our goals
Um,
for.
Goals for
Like
probably
that's what I
awful.
was gonna
But
say.
it
Yeah,
also
actually, sorry,
doesn't
you're third in goals against. You're second last in goals for.
it also doesn't help that their first like six, like we're only 17 games into the season. Their first six
Yeah,
games, they scored 7 goals. So
yeah.
you have 10 games now to make up the rest. Another thing that's I don't know if it's underrated if you guys want to bring this up, but like you guys have went 8-1-1 with Ovi only having 5 goals on
5
the
goals.
season. Like
Yeah.
if Ovi had 5 goals on the season like any other year, you guys would be like dead last.
Dead
You know what I mean?
last.
Like yeah, it's probably like about time. I think the writing, not that it's on the wall for him, like you do at some point need to transition out of the OV era, the OV and Backstrom era. I mean, one of them's gone, unfortunately, but the next one is going to be OV. You need to now kind of find the middle ground between not even secondary scoring, but you're gonna eventually need somebody to start stepping
E-
up. So
This is the
Even
transitionary period.
yes.
yeah,
Even Mironeshenko and Hershey's tearing it up right now. I think he has like 7 goals in maybe like 13-ish games or something like that. And that's what we need in the big leagues. Like we need a spark to just like give us that explosive scoring that we've had for years. Obviously, we're not going to have it this season. I've already accepted the fact that we're not a high scoring team. But what we are good at is defending and goaltending. Chuck Lindgren,
Yes. Chuck
Hunter
Lindgren now?
Shepard, that's his nickname, Chuck.
Okay,
Um,
that's good.
Hunter Shepard, Darcy Kemper's hurt right now, but I don't know. Like I like our trio. I trust all 3 goalies. This is the first time in a while where I can say doesn't matter who's in net. Well, they'll play for the goalie. We're gonna
Yeah.
get saves. And okay, if I were to rank them right now, I'm taking Chuck 1, Kemper 2, Shepherd 3. But if you look at the monetary value of each like goalie,
Kemper's making like what, 5 times
five
more, 4 times more?
5.5 or something. Yeah, 5 times
Yeah.
more. It's something ridiculous. Shepard's on league min. Chuck is on like 1.2 or something like that. But the value you're getting out of the two other goalies, it's a lot.
Brian, I feel like every time I do Caps Corner, I just pull up your guys' stats page and I say, what's interesting here? And I ask you about it. So I just dished on Protosh, but he's got 7 points in 14 games, which is more than I
More than I
expected.
thought.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So that's he's a half a point per game player. Pretty good. And that's in only 10 minutes of ice time. On the topic of ice time, how much time on ice is John Carlson averaging per game right now?
I'm not
If you have
sure.
to take
Probably
a
too much.
guess,
I'm
the
gonna
answer is
say
definitely too much.
26.
26
Lot.
16 for John Carlson
Yeah.
How
per
old is he?
game. He's got to be
John
what,
Carlson is
33?
33. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking right now.
Oof. But
In
he's
his
been doing
defense though,
like 20 plus for like
his
10
whole
years.
career.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. Like he's a horse.
Yeah.
But you love your horses to be young, right? He's on
Yeah.
the downside now. So he is leading the league. 26-16 is the league leader. Second is Travis Sanheim, also just over 26 minutes. It's pretty incredible. Yeah. So I just wanted to point out that. And another guy, Rasmus Sandin, 23 minutes per game for him as well. It's a pretty
He's
good
good.
number as well. He's
He,
that's 35th for the league. That's definitely a lot more than he would have been playing in Toronto.
It was
one
like
thing I love about
12th here,
Sandin
13.
is that he's not afraid to just make the crazy pass across the ice.
Oh, we
Like
know.
if
He
he's
has the talent for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
my god, of course you do.
Yeah.
He picks them
For
out.
him, it's just he doesn't have the feet. Like you would think he's a skill guy. You'd think he'd have like wheels. He's got edges, but he doesn't have top speed. That's the
Yeah,
one thing
he's
with
not
him.
he's
So he
not
has
a
to make
straight
up
line.
for it with his head.
He is definitely not a
No,
straight line skater.
no.
100%.
So that was the problem with him on, like, let's say if we put him on PP1, is if he gets beat, he's not getting it. He's not beating that forward on the break back. But he's still good, and he doesn't have to play for PP1 on you guys right now with Carlson, right?
The left-handed defenseman that has the wheels is Ferravari. He's hurt right now,
Yeah,
unfortunately. I don't know when he'll be back. That's probably why Carlson's eating so much minutes because like one of the two has
out
to
of
turn.
necessity.
Yeah, but well, there's given there's take, right? If he's hurt, he's hurt. I'm I don't know. I'm pretty excited for going into the next couple of games. I want to see what can happen if we can pick up that offense because I trust the system now. I haven't been able to say that in a couple of years,
Yeah,
and yeah, with Laviolette. And I just wanted to shout out Spencer Carberry for giving McMichael a chance and giving Lapierre a chance. It's time that we started to see. Oh, and Lucas Johansson. It's time that we started to see the youth get involved with this team. These guys have been sitting in Hershey for like I don't know how many
Luke
years.
Johansson, man, dude,
Careers.
I've been hearing about you talk about Luke Johansson since high school,
So
and
Yes.
we're out of university now.
You
So,
guys had like I think you guys had won the cup and you were talking like, yeah, next season he's
Oh,
coming
yeah.
up, he's gonna be a part of like, the next era
it's
of
the next core, man.
yeah.
Might be Norris good.
He's he's the same age as Matthews to put into perspective.
Oh my god.
Yeah, okay, that's
So
if
it's
he's
been a
just
while.
entering the league, right? So that's
Yeah,
crazy.
but
Yeah.
I'm still
You
happy
guys
for him.
got a
Like,
better point percentage than us right now, man. We're at 647. You guys have a 667 points percentage.
yeah, we have like a couple games in hand on most teams. I want to say,
You're
but
at 15. Yeah.
yeah. But you know what? If it wasn't for that god awful start, man, we'd probably be top of the table right now. We just got to get some
You might
offense
be,
going,
for sure.
and you know what? I'm gonna like forgive the team for the bad start to the season, just because of the fact that we had so much going on. Edmondson was hurt, Pacioretty's not back yet, and he was recovering, and Backstrom was getting into it, and we got a new coach. So
Yeah,
I got one more. I got one more stat question. What's your power
completely
play
forgot.
percentage?
god awful. I'm
Sorry,
gonna say
Dave, I cut you off, buddy. What are we
Yeah, I
forgetting?
completely forgot that Pacioretty was like signed
Yeah.
with
Oh my
the
God.
Caps, dude.
That's
coming. He's coming. He's going back, and maybe that's 30 goals for
All right,
us.
is there a timetable for him?
I don't know.
I doubt it.
I've already accepted the fact that like it might be a Connor Brown
It's
situation.
it's gravy if he comes back, right?
Yeah.
It's just gravy.
If he plays any
Um,
sorts of games and he puts up any points, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna
Your
say
power play
17%.
Drop 10% off of that, 7% on the season.
7% on the power
Oh.
play.
7th season. Somehow you're
Holy
not last. St. Louis is at 6.5%.
Oh my
But
god.
Oh my goodness.
that ain't good, man.
That's a
that ain't
far
good.
cry from like the 25 plus that they were
Yeah.
doing for 10 years.
On a
Well,
unrelated note, the Sabres are third last at 10.2. I swear they were third in the league last year.
they also
Yeah.
lost their best player, or second best player, whatever you want to consider.
Yeah, this is on the season though, but yeah, anyways, unrelated note. Unrelated.
Yeah.
Ah,
Things are looking up for us. Ryan Leonard's coming up. He's killing it at VU. Like I said, best team in college ever, maybe. And
is he playing with Macklin?
no, he's playing. Sorry, Boston College. Sorry.
Okay. Very different, very different.
Yes, my bad.
Yeah,
But
so they're that's the rivalry then.
yes,
Yeah.
but yeah. We got to see what happens going into the rest of the season. I want to see big things happen. If we get into the playoffs, do I think we're good enough to make a run? Probably not, but it'd be better than what everybody saw last year. So.
The season from hell.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay. That's Yeah, we'll do Leafs for a bit. We always do Leafs. Fuck.
Fair.
Sorry,
Okay.
Brian.
I don't know how your week went because you guys only played like
2 games.
yeah.
We don't play again
And
until Friday. Like it's
Yeah.
so weird.
We're
Two
only gonna
games
have
in
one
12 days.
I think we're only gonna have one because they play Friday and
Saturday as
they
well.
play Saturday as well. So
Yeah,
it's about 2 more
yeah.
games again next week.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's okay. It's quick, concise. We could talk about the like. I have
Keep
to
the
say,
Leaf games fresh in our mind, Dave, right?
dude, I'm feeling great right now about the Leafs. Like I'm
All
really,
is right in Leafland.
yeah. I am kind of like I said before. I was excited for the season to start. I just wanted to like kind of see how everybody kind of gelled. There's definitely
Lots of
some
new
pieces.
faces.
Yeah, there's definitely some pieces on the team where it's like if they could get blasted off into the sun right now, perfect, like fantastic. But I love the good vibes. Good vibes only right now. They're on a 4-game win streak. Won 2 of 2 in Sweden. Great.
Dave, we keep on mentioning Sweden, and you just mentioned a player you want to fire into the sun. Is that player Swedish? Just asking.
There's
Yes.
2. One is
Yeah.
already presumably fired into the sun. We talked about last episode, Ryan Reeves, so we don't have to talk Reeves. But yeah, the other guy.
Are you just
I
Swedish?
thought, dude,
No. I'm saying
like
sorry.
I said a couple of players.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
One is
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
Reeves and Klingberg. Like we could not beat around. We don't have to beat around the bush all the time, guys.
Yeah, I know. They're not listening. Like, yeah.
I was
Listen.
gonna say like there's no, I was like what like I didn't know that Reeves was Swedish. Like I
Yeah,
could have sworn he wasn't.
It's
But,
just it's spelled no, it's pronounced Revis or something. I don't know.
Revish.
Yeah.
Revish. Dave, it's funny, man. I think back to last weekend, and I thought he actually played. Yeah, I know that feels like forever ago. He was actually like decent against Vancouver. Like I didn't notice him in a bad way at all against Vancouver. I'm like,
Kling?
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you notice him?
No, it's just because he was like it was limited minutes. And listen,
You're right.
I'll believe
but
the
that's
fact.
what we want.
I'll drink the Kool-Aid. I will go on a limb and say, yeah, he's probably not 100%, and fair enough. Maybe we haven't seen John Klingberg at his full powers. Like he has 5 point. He had at 1.5 points in 5 games with the Leafs. Like there's clearly an offensive weapon there still, I think.
You said full power though. I don't think we're gonna see him at full power. Like I don't. That's the problem.
And that's the problem, right? Yeah. So
yeah,
it kind of feels like they're gonna be shutting Klingberg down soon.
It's apparently a chronic thing related to his hips. He's had 2 hip surgeries. So
yeah, that's
Brian's
not great.
become familiar with the hip surgeries, and we saw how that went with the Swedish guy on his team. So
I was just about to say that.
yeah, so that's a problem. And I think
great.
it is evident in watching him play in some of the defensive mistakes he made, like the clip we sent to Brian last week where the guy just kind of fell.
Flopped.
Yeah.
So listen, I said this in our chat. If this is kind of the last we see of Klingberg, if he goes off into the sunset on Robot Island, I do feel bad for him because he did seem like a genuinely decent dude. I did like his interviews. Insightful. He genuinely seemed excited for the season and the opportunity given to him. But yeah, it's just It's reminiscent, honestly, to Matt Murray from last year. Is kind of what it feels like. We all had
Yeah,
the
very
right.
similar.
That's
Yeah.
that's what this feels like. Murray came in with some excitement for a new opportunity, new beginnings. Even Leaf fans were like, he should be the starter. We kind of proclaimed him to be that guy before the season, and it didn't end up working out that way. So
There was a stretch where he did put together
and
some games
yes, and there
like
was a stretch
Klingberg.
with Klingberg.
Yep.
Exactly, right? I remember that Matt Murray
You guys.
Dallas game.
Dude,
Remember
that
that
was probably
that
the
Dallas game was
peak.
oh
That was the
yeah
peak of Matt Murray
yeah
in Toronto. I
yeah
think like I want to say it was like that game against the game against Montreal. I think he had like 3 assists. That's probably the peak of John Klingberg. The first game,
yeah. I think
granted,
you're
fair.
right.
It's like, yeah, maybe that's all we're gonna say. It doesn't feel like Klingberg's in the plans anymore, and I think Brad kind of knows it, and Sheldon for sure knows it. They're
Yeah.
kind of just waiting for Connor Timmins to get back, and
I
it
think
would
I'll
have
be
been
a seamless
nice.
fan. Like I've been singing his praises all preseason. Like
Yeah,
I listen. I was excited for Klingberg too. I was watching highlights of him in the summer, and he was a guy who could walk the blue line. We haven't seen the mobility this season, honestly. Like even on the power play, it was a lot more stationary stuff. Wasn't very threatening with his shots.
yeah.
I think Timmins can do it at the very least what
The
Klingberg's been
same
doing,
job. Yeah,
and maybe even better at a fraction of the price. We got
literally a fraction,
literally like a quarter.
a quarter.
We got limited time, so we got to go through a bunch of stuff here, Dave. We got to give our
Let's
props to
go.
Willie.
Oh,
When it comes to Willie and the homecoming of him in Sweden, and this is kind of it made me kind of go big picture and think about the Leafs core four and the fact that we've kind of seen each one of them now have their season where they are the guy. So Matthews, I would say his 60 goal season, he was the guy, right? Who won a Hort Trophy.
you could probably make an argument for like
There
3 seasons for
there
Matthews.
was
Yeah,
multiple for sure,
the
but like
rookie
that's
season, the 60 goal.
yes,
Yeah, there's a few.
yes. So
Fair.
that, but to me, that's the quintessential Matthews season. The quintessential JT season, I'd say, was his first year, right? He scored
40 goals.
47 goals,
Mhm.
right? Like he
47.
broke the Leafs center record for goals scored, right? Like
Yeah.
beating out Sundin. That's pretty crazy. There was all the Islanders stuff, right? So I'd say that was his season. Mitch is interesting to think about because you could go with that same season as
I
the
think
Bears one.
I think Mitch has more to do with the other guys around. Like I don't
Sure,
think
he's the facilitator.
he's always had a season. Maybe his last season is like last
That's
season was his
that's
season.
what I would say. He
But I
was in
think he's
Selke Convo,
yeah, dude.
right? The point game streak. He was at the
Yeah,
center of
that was
that
last year.
22
Yeah,
game
yeah.
streak.
Well, I
I'd
guess
say
we
that
could
was his
consider
signature
that.
season so far.
Yeah,
Maybe his is still coming. Maybe there's one even better.
yeah.
But so far that was his, and now we're finally getting Willie's.
The
There's no
Willie
other
season.
like you would have said last year, but he's even
Better.
improving on that, right?
Yeah.
This is the Willie
Much
season.
better.
And before last year, we'd say honestly the contract holdout year was his season, and not for good reason. But yeah, listen, it's Willie through and through this year. It's him just taking hold of this team. I'm not even afraid to say he's been the best player now through this stretch of games. Listen, after Matthews double like 2 hat tricks, you'd say it's him. Honestly, just on the course of the season, it's him right now. He's been the
No, it's
MVP. He's
yeah.
been phenomenal. He's been phenomenal. And that's not taking anything away from Matthews. He's been
No,
phenomenal
it's
too. But
legitimately
Nylander's been more consistent, which is
ridiculous,
crazy.
dude.
Yeah.
Dude, every time the guy gets the puck on the power play, or he walks kind of like he does that like walk. He kind of goes
His
around
first
the circle,
couple strides,
and he walks like he holds the puck towards like the blue line, and as soon as he makes that
yeah,
turn,
he says,
dude,
"Come get me."
yeah, dude. As soon as he makes that turn, I'm like, dude, there's like a 75% chance that this ends up in
Yeah,
the back of the net, whether it's through his shot or a pass from him,
yeah.
because underrated has a nice set of eyes on him as well. Like, I'm like, dude, this guy looks like easily the most lethal forward. And another thing I
Yeah.
want to shout out on top of Willie, the whole second line, I want to say
Phenomenal.
shout out to Tyler Bertuzzi, who really has completed that trifecta. Basically, we were
He's bringing energy. Like he just looks like he's involved.
yeah. We were praying to God that we had somebody. We just needed somebody there to be with JT and Willie, somebody to kind of like retrieve the puck, get into the corners, and also provide like some offensive output as well, dude, Tyler Bertuzzi looks a lot more like the guy that we saw in Boston than the guy that we saw laughing on the bench against Boston this past year. And I want to say shout out to him. That second line for both games in Sweden, I think
Best
undoubtedly were the best lines, like 5-on-5. Even though those three individually were probably the best players on the team.
Yeah.
I would argue. So I'll shout out to them. Third line's still been great. I love watching them play.
Production's fallen off, but they've still been fine. They've been a net neutral.
Yeah.
You continue that. You give them more time. You give Robinson a bounty because he was like in Sweden, like let him get back to North America.
Yeah. They haven't been so like awful defensively enough where if their production slips off like it probably has over the past couple of games, which for whatever reason, they haven't been as bad defensively where it's like you need to make a switch here. So I'm completely fine with it. Just keep it rolling, keep it going. Hopefully when the team gets back to North America, those three find their feet again. And they have a big performance. Let's say, I hope against the Chicago Blackhawks, if those three have a big performance, that's what I'm looking for.
First line's been humming decently. Like there's another gear there.
The first line's like, they're just they feel like kind of caught in the middle. I don't think they've been as good as what like we know that
they started off hot though, Dave, right? Like remember Knights 2 go scored against Tampa in his first game on that line. Like they can get back to that. I think same 100%. Thing as the third line. You keep it the same and see if they bounce back.
And then honestly, the fourth line is just like
they're doing their job. They're not getting scored on 12 goals to 0.
Okay,
fine.
Quick question, before we head off. Over or under 10.99 for Nylander's contract?
Over.
Right now.
Over. Right now. I'll say the over. I'm not even mad about it, but I still think that we're talking 10.5. But yeah, I wouldn't be mad if it was 11. I legitimately would not be mad. I don't even think fans care right now. Pay the goddamn guy all the Swedish money. We don't care.
Here's my thought. Here's my one thought on I think that we're gonna see a switch of contracts between Nylander and Tavares. As good as Tavares has been, 11 million is still very, very steep. I think we'll see Tavares end up making like, dude, 6. If you could just
to me it's been like
7
5.
is set.
I've even gone lower than that. I feel like 5, 7. I wouldn't be mad about, but I think we'll be surprised
if he really wants to be a team player. Tell John if he wants to keep that C, he takes 4.5. That's the only way that's the only way he keeps the C. If he wants 6 or above, dude, it's going to Matthews.
I think honestly the Nylander thing makes the Marner situation next year more interesting. Let's not get into that at all right now, but that's the first thought.
That's a thought.
Quick rating out of 10, blue helmet, white shirts. What do you
give it a 7 out of 10. I was excited for it at first. Then I saw it on the ice. I realized that the helmet is a brighter blue than the pants. Maybe they are the same shade, but because it's plastic versus fabric, the light hits it differently.
Yeah.
And I'm just that nitpicky. I'm that nitpicky that I don't like it as much. I was excited for it. I think it'll look better on other teams, but I still prefer our regular kits.
I wasn't a fan to start as time was, through 2 games. By the end, I was like, I don't hate it. It's like a 6 for me, I think.
Shout out to
real quick, next episode, I want to do a Leafs prospect update. Easton Cowan been lighting it up, and some trade talk might be coming next week. We didn't get to that, but
we're gonna do that.
Shout out to Fubo TV. Shout out to Razor. NHL Shops.ca. If you want to get your William Nylander jersey, there you go.
Yeah,
I'm in.
Well, and